dad was in the RAF and we moved around, so there was a real sense. A lot of the time we lived on camps, so RAF camps, and everybody did the same, so it just felt like the absolute normal thing to do. You had a friend for 6 months and then they went, and you just accepted that. Our schools were whole RAF camps, so you didn't see anybody else, you didn't realise other people existed. I think everyone's lives were like that. So I was born in Malta and we lived there for 18 months. And then political things shifted it and it all moved, and we came back in February to Wales. I don't remember this, but there are these photographs of me and my older sister, who's 4 years older than me. We were so cold, it was unbelievable. I didn't have shoes, I didn't have a coat, and my mum says, they're sudden trying to rush out and buy these things. So we lived there. And then we moved to the north of Scotland. My father was search and rescue, so we always lived in really remote places with water. So for me, the sea is a real sense of home and where I belong, although I don't live by it by now. But every now and then I have to get there and I have to see it, I have to smell it. And then from there we moved to Cornwall. So I was 12. I came from the north of Scotland with a thick Scottish accent, which I know you can't believe now, and we moved to Cornwall, and you became a chameleon and very, very good at adapting. But home was where your family was. There were certain furniture, certain smells, and it's still like that. My dad's dad was in the Merchant Navy, as was his father before him. So for my dad to go into the RAF, it was taking... He was not doing the right thing. He was supposed to go into the Navy. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. He was supposed to be on the water. And there was furniture which had come from my great-grandfather in that house and is still in that house, where they live now. So that all kind of went right the way through. So all the way back, I'm forces. My mum's dad was a teacher and they lived in Germany, and again in the forces army. And that's how my parents met, in Germany, doing that. So we kind of are very rootless right the way through. There were strange occasions. I do remember when I was young and breakfast TV had just started and we were all at home, it was on, and hearing that there was a plane crash. And now my dad was a pilot, and we knew immediately that everybody on that plane had died. We knew it was one of them from our station, so there were a couple of planes out, so there was this whole thing of it could have been us. And I remember going to school that day really, really clearly, and it was a forces school. We were all completely in shock and nobody knew, and that kind of thing of, I don't really like the forces now and I feel really uncomfortable with it, just because that pain. I don't like flying, which is ironic. And it wasn't my dad, I was lucky. However, it was the girl who was sat next to me's dad was the navigator. And so it's that whole thing of, particularly with accidents and with family, it's a really important thing. I went to 13 schools in my life. We moved around different people. My kids went to nursery, and now my son's at secondary school and he's still with the same children, and I love that. My husband, who grew up in Bolton, isn't that bothered, because he's just like, well, they're all idiots, the ones I went to school with. I keep friends with 5 of them, and so it's a different thing. But for me, that stability is really important, and my husband's family have all of that. And it smells, it's people, it's objects, it's just a feel. I can walk into my mum's house and it smells exactly the same as it did when I was a child, and I know exactly where I am immediately, and I sit in the same chair. All of that is really, really important.